The position of the government is very clear, and it's the position of successive governments. There doesn't need to be a Public Accounts Committee in Gibraltar for a simple reason. In Gibraltar, a 17-member parliament, we cannot have all of the same systems that a 650-member parliament has in the UK and expect those systems to work well. So a Public Accounts Committee is like the committee stage of the budget debate, the bit that everybody switches off for, which is hours of looking just at the pennies, etc., every day of the year. We would grind Gibraltar to a halt if we had such a committee, and my job, the job that you've elected me to do, all of the electorate has elected me to do, is to run Gibraltar effectively and deliver government, not grind Gibraltar to a halt by pretending to emulate something that works in a much larger jurisdiction but would not work in the smallest jurisdiction in the Commonwealth bar Pitcairn.
Nevertheless, how does it look for Gibraltar to be the only member of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association to not have a Public Accounts Committee? How does it look to the wider world?
Well, we're not the only member that doesn't have a Public Accounts Committee in the Commonwealth. We're the only member in the Mediterranean branch that doesn't have, Mediterranean and British Islands, that doesn't have a Public Accounts Committee. We are the smallest of those jurisdictions in the way that we run our affairs on a partisan basis. The Public Accounts Committee in Gibraltar would be something proposed by someone who doesn't understand the system of government in Gibraltar. For example, do you know that when you ask questions in Westminster, if you watch Prime Minister's questions, you get up, you ask a question, the Prime Minister answers, you sit down, you don't get a supplementary unless you're the leader of the opposition or the leader of one of the other parties. Here, every member keeps to get asking supplementaries as long as they're on the subject. One question can take 45 minutes or an hour. In the UK, one question will take 1 minute, maximum 2.
But you say that the criticism of not having a Public Accounts Committee is made by someone who doesn't understand our parliamentary system, but there is one local politician who does understand our parliamentary system, who has recommended a Public Accounts Committee, Roy Clinton.
Well, if you'll excuse me for saying so with the very greatest of respect to Roy. Roy has just been elected to a parliament. He's been a parliamentarian for a year. He's had an interest in politics as long as I have, because I've known Roy for many years, but he doesn't understand how the workings of Parliament in great detail. He hasn't put to use many of the instruments that Parliament has at his disposal, and there are many different ways of asking the government to account for information. But this government doesn't need to be asked. We put into the public domain so much information that we're not asked about it. I'm not prepared to spend every single day in Parliament going through every penny that the government spends in a way that stops me from delivering the things that the people who elected me to deliver, without also saying I am fully accountable to the people of Gibraltar and to the opposition in Parliament, and answering every question that they ask and drilling down to the last penny as they might wish to, but not through a mechanism that is going to be bad for Gibraltar.